Hello everyone, welcome back to a new episode or a new film study. Today we got Winky Wright versus Felix Trinidad. One of a great fight study because it's easy to see what's happening, especially if you've been boxing for a while. So intermediate boxers, beginner to intermediate boxers, I like them if they can watch this fight because it'll show you common mistakes, different styles, common good stuff to do. And yeah, okay, so the picture is pretty blurry in this fight. I apologize for that. I couldn't find a good quality video, but here we go. First of all, I want to introduce you to both fighters. Felix Trinidad, front heavy, likes to use his left hook a lot. Not a great mover because he puts a lot of weight on his front foot, so he often stumbles forward. The reason he's like this is so he could let off power shots. Winky Wright, sitting on the back leg, southpaw, lead foot out, fakes with the lead foot, hands up, jabs a lot, and we'll see here. We can't see. Okay, so watch the foot of Winky Wright, the red shorts, how you see that? He's pressing with his front foot. He's feinting with it. He's closing the distance, pushing Felix Trinidad back. Now Felix Trinidad, I'll have to do a video on this too, as when he fought, he likes to slip to the left and come back with a left hook, a wild swinging left hook, and he did that against what's his name, Vargas. Now against Vargas is he's orthodox, and Felix Trinidad slipped his right hand and jab to the left and came back with the left hook, which knocked him down. Now Winky Wright, he doesn't commit too much with the jab. He brings it back quick, so it's a little bit harder for Felix to slip left, and we'll see. I'm just giving you a preface. Now, like I said, because Felix has his weight on his front foot, it's harder for him to be as efficient in moving. He's more of a I am where I am fighter. And he gets it clean with jabs a lot. Too much weight on the front foot, too wide on the feet, can't get away from a jab. The jab is quick, so you got to be quick on your feet, quick with your head movement. If you have too much weight on the front foot, it's hard to slip a jab. Usually guys are front foot heavy. They'll eat a couple jabs to land their power shot. Now we see Felix moving right, trying to land that right hand. See that flicking out jab, that power jab. I think it has power from Winky Wright. He's not throwing it to be powerful, but I believe it feels like it has a lot of power on it. See, clean, and then Winky Wright gets away. Now this is how Winky Wright actually, after he jabs, I've done a study on this for Instagram. He jabs and then he sits back on the back leg like he does here to get away from the counter right hand or jab from the opponent. Here he steps out. But he'll lean in, he'll reach in, and then reel his right hand back. Nice jabs from Mr. Wright. Nice jabs. Nice left hand. I see that quick jab of Winky Wright. It's hard for... Now, if Winky Wright was an orthodox fighter and he threw that big right hand, it would be easier to slip because the right a power shot is a little bit slower to come back, especially if you put a lot of power into it. But because this right hand of Winky Wright is a jab, he can bring it back fast and turn it into a hook, turn it into an uppercut. It's a lot more dangerous to slip out here. Unless Winky Wright commits with his jab, like power jab, commits all the time. Like if he threw a I-Quartet type jab, it would be easier to slip, because the more committed a punch is, the more easier it is to slip. But because Winky Wright doesn't throw his jab like that, it's quick, he moves it around. It's harder to time when to slip left. Therefore, it's harder for Trinidad to get his left hook off. See how Winky Wright just pops that jab, brings it back, steps out of range. I don't know what's going on. Shoelaces? Or people, oh, they're stepping on each other's feet. That happens a lot when the southpaw versus orthodox fighter. You can see how Felix Trinidad, see how much his right heel, oh, you can't really see here, but see how he's forward a little bit on his front foot, and he gets caught clean with those jabs. Now, fighting on the front foot isn't a bad idea. It's just if you could switch between being on the back foot when you need to jab and move in the beginning, and then sitting on the front foot when you're more in range and you could actually land punches, would be better. But like, this isn't bad if it's later on in the fight, I believe. If it's too early, you see how much his heel is vertical almost. Mostly guys fight with their heel a little bit off the ground, but watch the leg. So he's ready to throw that left hook, slip left hook, right hand. Power jab too, but he's a lot slower on his feet than Winky Wright. Let's see that again. I think Winky lands a jab. Yeah, see, it's harder to get away from this when you're in this position. It's hard to get away from that jab. The jab is a lot faster than your head movement at this time. If you're front foot heavy, you should have a really good defense with your hands, picking off shots with your hands, catching, blocking, a little bit of head movement, slipping on the inside. But using your head, using reflexes isn't the best idea, because you're a lot slower than the opponent's jab. And that is the first round. So a lot of things you shouldn't do if you're Trinidad, which is put your weight on your front foot from the beginning. And there's a lot of things you should do from Winky Wright if you're in the beginning, which is put more weight on the back foot, keep some distance between you and the opponent, land the jab, land the jab, land the jab, fake, land the jab, some power shots, but mostly land that jab. You can see the, if you watch, okay, this is something I also wanted to point out. This is called stutter steps. So if Winky steps in with a jab, Trinidad knows when the jab is coming, if he even stares at the foot, if it's a committed step. But here, this is called a stutter step. So I'm moving forward if I'm Winky Wright. See, each one is a fake and you're getting closer. 1, 2, 3, and then he lands it on the third one. Okay, small steps, they're called stutter steps because they're small and continuous, and you do this to not let your opponent know when the jab is coming. You see how many times Trinidad moved his hand trying to block that jab? And it kind of fries your opponent's defense, because they're tense, and then the jab actually pops off. So here, terrible stance from, not terrible, but pretty bad from Felix. Too much weight on the front foot. It's too early in the fight to be in this position, but that's just his style. Look how relaxed Winky Wright is. Now, this style isn't bad if you have the power that Felix Trinidad had. Now, Winky Wright is trying to throw some left hands. So Felix Trinidad had the power and the chin to fight in the stance. You got to be able to take a punch, to give a punch in the stance. But it's just Winky Wright was too good of a fighter stylistically too. And you see Winky Wright just puts his hands up when Felix wants to jab and work. A great at covering up. I don't know if it's because his arms are long or something, but he can his elbow is like almost under his belt line, and his hands still cover his head. So he walks in with behind basically like a Roman shield, Winky Wright. And you can see Trinidad trying to slip that jab. That's what I think he's trying to do. But he's just getting caught square in the head with that jab from Winky Wright. The more weight you have on your back foot, the easier you can move around. The more weight you have on your front foot, the harder it is to move around. See, Trinidad just has to eat those jabs. Now, something I've also done a video about is Winky Wright's jab. Now, there's no tell signs when Winky Wright jabs. It comes from here. See that? He doesn't drop his hand. It comes right from the eyebrow, just shoots straight at you. Now, after he lands his jab, he'll drop his hand. But as he drops his hand, he'll sit on the back leg to get away. Here he didn't have to because there's no counter. But if there is a counter, so he starts off his jab so you don't see when his jab is coming. And then he'll drop his hand and reel it back in and put it back into position. So even if you try to catch him, nice left hand. After he jabs, he brings his weight back and he's too far for you to counter. Too much distance between them. See that? He could just lean back because he has more weight on the back leg. Now this is what Felix Trinidad wants to do, is put that weight forward and come in, work that right side of Winky Wright. But Winky knows when to cover up and knows when to pop back. Maybe Trinidad was just too small to fight. I'm not sure if I think he came up in weight to fight Winky Wright. Because Trinidad had a lot of power, but it doesn't seem to affect Winky Wright. See right there, this is bad positioning for your feet, especially in the first and second round. Okay. There's nowhere, you can't lean back, it's hard to slip, your feet are too close. You take away a lot of options for defense and movement when you're in that position. Now, like I said, if Felix Trinidad could do that because he had the power and the chin to take a punch to give back a harder punch, but against Winky Wright, it doesn't seem to work. Nice left hand. Now Winky Wright, he threw a few left hands other than the jab right like there. I think Winky Wright probably had long arms. Cause watch, like how you see that his elbows go over, they overlap his shorts, and all he needs to do now is just tuck his chin, and he could cover his whole body. He kind of sucks his stomach in to make himself a smaller target. Great hands up defense. He actually fought Ike Corte, but I think it was later in his career. And that's the second round. St. James Casino. Stan James. I was like St. James. They don't go. Those two don't go with each other. See all those jabs. Now I've seen this way too many times. I can't remember fights off the top of my head, but where a fighter like Trinidad, he'll keep taking jabs in the first few rounds, thinking he's just gonna like land a shot. The shot never lands, and he ends up way behind. Like by the 5th or 6th round, he's eaten too many jabs, gotten too many points scored on him, and it's too late for him to get back in the fight. I've seen this happen too many times. You could never... Something I always like to think about the jab. This came after I researched who started boxing. And there's a guy from England, I forgot his name, but he used to be a sword and knife fighter, I believe. And he was the guy that made up the Queensberry rules, I believe. And so after that, I always thought of the jab as a knife. So if you have a knife and your opponent has a knife, it's not like most people think, oh, a jab doesn't hurt, I'll let him hit me. But if you think it's a knife, not a punch, it's a knife, you don't want to get touched by a knife because you're going to get cut and you might pass away. So if you think of the opponent's jab like a knife, you want to catch it with the hand, you want to get rid of it, you don't want it to let it touch your face or your stomach. Now, of course, sometimes you're going to get hit, but try to imagine this as a knife. Now, I want to land my knife on you, but I don't want you to land your knife on me, okay? So too many fighters, they get hit with the knife, get hit with the jab, and then they're too late to come back in the fight because they don't respect the jab. You got to respect the jab. I respect the jab more than the backhand because if you can't land the jab, you can't land your backhand. If you can land your jab, you can land everything. Here's Felix coming in heavy on the front foot, and then Winky just has to time him. All that momentum is shooting forward from Trinidad, and Winky just has to stand there and time him, okay? Using the guy's momentum against him. Right there with that jab again. Too much weight on the front foot. So I think this fight, beginners, intermediate, experienced fighters too, but most importantly, beginners and intermediate fighters should watch this fight and have someone explain to them what happens. It's a good visualization about weight distribution in the fight and punch and respecting the jab and so on. I'll also be doing a fight study of Trinidad versus Hopkins. I think that's one of the best fight game plans also, and executions. So you see how Winky Wright jabs? He jabs from a still position. You don't know the jab is coming. He pops it out. After he pops it out, he doesn't bring it back to his face. He drops it. Now there's no counter, so he doesn't have to lean back. Now he puts it back. So he kind of circles it down. But the reason he's effective with this is because there's no tell sign before he jabs. So by the time Felix sees the opening, so let's see. He got hit. By the time he realizes he could counter, the hand is almost already halfway back. Nice left hand. Nice jab. See how Winky Wright kind of sticks his punches into the face? That's why I said they might have some power on them, those jabs. See that? This is what Felix Trinidad wants to do, but is just not effective against a guy like Winky Wright. And you see how Winky, he puts... Now this is something beginners also... The palm of the glove, you want to put that over your ear almost, like your ear hole. That way your ear doesn't get messed up. And you're blocking the whole head, your whole head, and you're tucking your head behind the glove. See how it's an open glove? That way you get more surface area to block. See this jab. See, too much weight on the front foot by Felix. Like I said, it's not bad to put weight on the front foot, but I would do it later on in the fight. Unless the guy I'm fighting doesn't have any distance control and they kind of suck, I'll put weight on the front foot and just push them back, attack them. But if they got power, they got snap on that jab, I got to be more respectful. Get rid of their jab first, and then I would do what I want to do. Now Winky Wright, if a coach saw him jab, he would say that's a wrong jab. The jab should, like I mentioned before, the jab should shoot from the face, which Winky Wright does right. Winky Wright does right. He shoots it from the face, but he doesn't bring it back to the face, he drops it. I'll do him Winky Wright versus Shane Mosley's fight study. I'll explain it a little bit more and how he gets away from counters after he jabs like that. Nice jab. See, oh sorry, I accidentally turned the weight on the. See how he's bent forward, his left heel's off the ground considerably high, and this leg is bent a little bit more. His weight's more here, and he's walking forward. Winky Wright just has to stick that punch out, that hand out, and see how the face snaps. Nice timing, and he's just stuck in his. Nice here. Oh, this is okay. Now I get a chance to explain what Winky Wright does after he jabs. So here. There you go. Now Winky Wright gets caught here because he throws that jab and he stays there. Okay, usually Winky Wright, about this point, he's reeling that hand back and he's sitting back on that back leg, but he's keeping his weight on the front foot. I think he just didn't have respect for, or he just didn't feel a sense of danger, I'm thinking. Now this is what Winky Wright does more of, is see how he sits on that back leg, and that's how he creates distance. In the sequence before this, he didn't put his weight on the back leg. So now he can get away and he could stick that arm out. We'll see if Felix Trinidad counters another jab, then we could really tell what Winky Wright does. See that? Just cover up, let him work. All great fighters, they let the other guy work at some points in the fight. They're not always on the offense unless it's a quick knockout. If it's a long fight, they'll let you work. They have that much belief in their defense. Now a fighter from a lower grade, they won't let you work as much because they think anytime you attack, it's bad. I don't know if that makes sense. But great fighters will let their opponent work because they'll take some shots. They'll think. They'll see what you got to throw, feel your power, get your timing down, and they'll use it against you. But fighters that are a little bit less, they'll always try to be on the attack, and they often doesn't work. See, too much weight on the front foot. Bang. Stan James, not St. James. That wouldn't work if it was a St. James casino. I like Winky Wright's coach. Also one of the crispiest hairlines you'll ever see on a fighter. He doesn't have a forehead. He has a two-finger forehead. Besides the point. Well, this is around when Cinderella Man came out, which is one of my personal favorite videos about James Braddock and the Great Depression and how he came back. If you haven't watched it, you're missing out. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted for saying Cinderella Man. See that? See how Winky Wright using his jab to taking away the advances of Trinidad. If Trinidad moved in how Winky Wright is moving in with his weight on the back leg, catching jabs and jabbing back, he would actually be able to effectively push Winky Wright back. But because his face is right here, all Winky Wright has to do every time he lands a jab, Winky Wright has to restart. He can't. Tito has to restart. He can't just keep. You can't just advance through a jab right on the nose, right on the chin, right on the forehead. You gotta recalibrate every time it lands. And you see how he's trying to work that heavy left hand, but Winky Wright just blocks it. See, he's smiling at him, and now it's his turn to come back. And this is why you want to be confident in your defense, because against a guy like a hard puncher like Felix Trinidad, you don't want to be scared to take a punch. It should always be on your mind, the danger, but you don't want to be scared, because then you fight scared when you don't want to get hit. You should be confident in your boxing, in your defense. That was a nice body shot. Just beating him with that jab, some left hands and right hooks to the body, but very simple boxing from Winky Wright. Nice level change by going down. Now, boxing styles also depend on body types. Winky Wright had the body type to fight in this style. A short guy like me, I don't think I could fight taller guys or guys in this style because they'll just outreach me. So part of your I always try to copy different fighters, but in sparring to see if I could borrow something from their style. But usually I like to really study guys that have the same body type as me. So for me, I like watching Roberto Duran. We kind of have the same body type, shorter. So I'll take more stuff from him. Of course, I can't take more stuff like from Vladimir Klitschko. So when you're studying fighters, it's good to study fighters like that are different body types to learn game plans and learn what a guy with that body type could do to you. But if you want to add stuff to your style, I would study guys that would look like yourself. Nice left hand. Too much weight on the front foot. See how hard it is for a Tito to get away from punches? Way too much weight on the front foot. You're basically stuck in quicksand if you have your weight over your front foot. And you see how his sometimes he's standing straight with his knee. Not good. See there, he gets stuck because you're trying to walk with too much weight in front of you. See how that foot is slow to move forward? After he throws the hook, it kind of jumps up. It's just like getting caught in mud. You can't move your feet as easily. Again, back to the resetting with the jab, Winky Wright. See, that left hook is doing nothing. Now, that left hook against a guy like Fernando Vargas, that was a damaging hook from Tito. But not against Winky Wright. Nice. Well, like I said, respecting the jab, now it's almost round 5. And Tito still hasn't solved the jab. You got to be a problem solver in the ring. You got to take away the jab first. That's the first punch, because that's the first punch that's thrown. Take away the jab. If Winky Wright didn't have his jab, he'd be a lot more easier to get in on, like this. Now, because Winky Wright is covering both his head and his body with his arm without having to do much. Usually, there would be a little bit of an opening here, so when Tito would throw a body shot, he would drop the right hand, but he doesn't have to do anything. So Tito has to throw a punch here to get him to drop his elbow to open up here, and that one got in. Okay, usually the hook would have to come around here, but like I said, Winky Wright, I think his arms, he had long arms or something, or a short torso, or he just knew how to cover up, but his head is down and his elbow is covering his body and more. Nice uppercut. Now that's where Tito wanted to get on the inside, but it just didn't work out in this fight. See the feint with the foot from Right. I think Winky Wright's actual name is Ronald. Yeah, he has pretty long arms, Winky Wright. Because he could jab and throw that left hand from pretty far. So he stings that jab into the face. You want to have some anger sometimes when you jab. Not all jabs are just touching for distance. A guy that utilizes the jab like a weapon, like Winky Wright, he throws it sometimes like touching, but most of the time he's trying to pierce that through your face. Boom. Boom. He's not just touching with it. A guy like Ike Corte who just pumps that right into the face. You gotta have that when you jab sometimes to really pop back. Okay, it's not a touching punch every time. Especially if you got a good one, you got a good. Look how long the arm of Winky Wright is. That's crazy. I see how he puts effort into that jab. He's not always touching. And I see this is what I want to explain. You'll see it more when Winky Wright, either later in this fight or when he fights Sugar Shane Mosley. See how he jabs and he sits on that back leg. Jabs, sits on that back leg. He'll get caught sometimes, but he'll put weight forward and then reel it back to the back leg. So you're far away from the count. He's far away from the counter. Now, like I said, if a coach saw him or a beginner do that, they would say, no, bring back your hand to your face. But every time Winky Wright jabs, he almost never brings back his hand to his face. He drops it and then brings it up again. Now, that's something that Felix Trinidad could have maybe timed a hook, but it's just hard when that jab comes out so fast and there's no tell sign. Nice left hook. Now what Felix Trinidad didn't do is here. Okay, well, wait. Oh, see this opening. Now you got the opening in this opening, and so you could open up that part. If Felix Trinidad jabbed the stomach more, okay, if he threw more right hands to the stomach, like Morales did Manny Pacquiao, he could have changed the guard forced Winky Wright to change the guard. But because he's just throwing punches where Winky Wright wants him to punch, which is hooks to the side of him, and basically that's it. He should have thrown more right hands, uppercuts, and straights to the body, like right there. Right here. Short right hand to the body, right uppercut to the body, make Winky Wright move this hand, and then he'll actually have an opening. But he's trying too much to land that one punch. He's throwing too many wide shots. You throw inside. Nice body shot from Winky Wright. Nice. See how Winky Wright goes wide and then goes in, or goes out, goes in. So you want to go in and out, out and in. What that means is he'll go out to the body. So this is out, outside, and then he'll go back in. Okay, so out of the guard, and inside of the guard. That's how you make a fighter change their guard or move their hands around. Another warning shot. The ref is huge, so I don't know how tall he is. I think Felix should have timed when that jab came out so he could throw a left hook as Winky, nice left hook by Trinidad. As Winky brought back his hand and dropped it, that's when Felix Trinidad should have either jabbed or threw a hook, stepped in with it too to close the distance, and then add some punches. But Winky Wright had a long, every time I see him jab, I feel like his arm is pretty long. So he sits back, nice hook, turns in with it. Confident, relaxed. Probably the easiest fight of his career. Now this is where styles make fights, of course. By the way, I film all my videos beside the window, which is I live close to a main road, so you'll always hear cars zooming by and stuff. Let's see, round number 6. So it'll be the last round, and then we'll call it a day for this part, and then we'll refilm another part. Unlike the usual, Winky Wright with the jab. Feinting, jab, step C. Now if you can let me know in the comments or to yourself, what would you do if you're in Felix Trinidad's position? So he leans in with that jab, Winky Wright, and then drops it, but he puts weight on the back leg. This is what I wanted to explain earlier in the fight. Here, now before he did this and stopped here, and that's when Trinidad actually caught him, but here, this is what I meant. Winky Wright puts his weight on his back leg, and now there's distance between them, and he can escape. And because, like I said, he jabs without any tell signs from his eyebrows, it's hard to know when the jab is coming. If he had a tell sign, then maybe you could counter it, you could time it, because you know when it's coming. But because Winky Wright jabs from his forehead, it's hard to see it. Now, this is what Felix Trinidad wanted to do. Slip the jab and then throw that left hook. But you see, by the time he slips here and he wants to throw that left hook, the chance is gone. Because it's a jab, it's not a right hand. See how Winky Wright just covers up everything. Like I said, when you don't respect the jab, it's round 6, and he's still getting hit with the jab. Too late in the fight to still be... You should minimize as much as you can your opponent's jab landing on you. I would have spent one round just concentrating on catching that jab and countering, slipping, just focusing on that jab, not trying to land my own punches, just trying to get rid of that jab. Quick. See, no tell sign, you just pop. By the time you see it, it's already hitting you. You know he threw a jab because he hit you with it. That's how quick and subtle the jab comes out from Winky Wright's hands up position. Like I said, if he had a tell sign that he was about to jab, then he would be in a lot more trouble, because you'd see the jab coming out and you would know that he dropped his hand. But he only does one thing wrong, which is dropping his hand, but you can't know when the jab is coming to counter it. Now he's trying to work the hook. Very active right hand by Winky Wright. Now he's standing more in the pocket with Trinidad. See how he's throwing those left uppercuts to the body? That's what Trinidad should have been doing. And you see how he stings those punches in. Sting those punches in. See those short left uppercuts to the body? That's what Trinidad should have been throwing with his right hand. And you see now how Winky Wright puts more weight on the front foot and starts walking forward, but now it's the 6th round, not the 1st. That's what Trinidad should have been doing. Everything's gradual. You should never start with your weight forward, I believe. You should always advance to it later in the fight. Start off by landing your jab first. Take control of the fight, then you could put weight on the front foot and move forward. See See there, he's slipping. Weight on the heels. Bad footwork. See that? Cat gets caught with the jab again. Okay, guys, so this is round 6. I'll be back maybe later today or tomorrow with part 2. So, like I said, this is a great fight for beginners, intermediate boxers to watch, to learn how to gradually put weight forward and start fighting. But you got to start with the jab, how you should respect your opponent's jab, how you should take the jab as a threat and try to take it away, not just keep getting hit with it. The difference between putting weight on your front foot and your back foot. What else? Winky Wright's jab, how he comes out with no tell signs. He does do the wrong thing by dropping it, but like I said, by the time you know it hit you, by the time you know he jabbed is when it hits you. Felix Trinidad trying to slip left and land those big hooks, but Winky Wright's letting him work. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll be back with more, and bye.